Hey everyone, so check this out. We've got a massive $4.13 trillion crypto market cap right now, and we're sitting just slightly down at 0.2%. Bitcoin's crushing it at over $115,900. Ethereum's looking strong above $4,400, and XRP, we're at $2.98 right now. Now here's what's happening. We're down 1.8 on the daily and about 5.2 over the week. Let me show you this price action. We're trading in this tight range between $2.98 and $3.04. Look at how much that range has compressed. It's incredible. But here's the big story, guys. Wall Street just witnessed something historic. The first XRP spot ETF, that's the Rex Osprey, absolutely smashed records for 2025 first day launch volume. This just sent shockwaves through the entire crypto world. All those fund managers who've been dragging their feet on ETF launches, yeah, they're probably scrambling right now to stack more XRP because they know what's about to hit. Ripples and Whales just dropped a bombshell prediction. Supply shock coming hot in November. Could it happen? Oh man, quite possibly, quite possibly. Before we dive deeper though, huge props to my guy Zach Rector. This dude is absolutely on fire and becoming the name everyone's talking about in crypto. And you know what? I think he's absolutely nailed it. Talk about sending up the ultimate bat signal. We've got institutions literally lined up at the starting gates like racehorses chomping at the bit. They are so ready to explode out of there. And honestly, I couldn't be more pumped about this. All of this is happening right as we're getting closer to that crucial legislation timeline. The window is closing fast, people. And while all this is brewing, Anthony Scaramucci just threw down the gauntlet saying 200K is way too conservative. His target? $500,000. Take a listen to this.
You just have to ask yourself the following question, and then there's a binary move after you answer the question. Is Bitcoin an asset class? Is it an asset class? If the answer is yes, then I believe, therefore, it should trade to the market capitalization of gold. It represents an asset class. That means that a portfolio consultant will go to a large-scale institutional investor and say, you need to allocate to gold. You need to allocate to Bitcoin. NVIDIA, Amazon, these others are investments. They're stock investments. If Bitcoin's not an asset class and it's a collectible, okay, whatever you want to call it, then where it's priced now is probably reasonably fairly valued, meaning it's going to be in or near the Mag 7 in terms of its market capitalization. And so I have taken the position, rightly or wrongly, and I can back it up, I think, with a lot of color and a lot of commentary, that it is an asset class. And it's very unique in the following respect. It's a global asset. If you look at American companies or the S&P 500, yes, people around the world own them, but they're predominantly owned by Americans. Bitcoin is got amazing distribution in terms of its ownership around the world. So if you say to yourself, if 50 or 60% of the people that currently own Bitcoin believe it's an asset class, will they continue to buy Bitcoin? Will they continue to hold Bitcoin? Will they recommend it as an allocation in portfolios? If that's the case, then $200,000 is too low for Bitcoin. You know, something like $500,000 would be there. So
We're talking $500,000 for Bitcoin here, and I'm telling you, that's got me absolutely pumped. Like, seriously excited about where this could go. And here's the thing. Once they lock in that Bitcoin strategic reserve we keep hearing about, suddenly those numbers don't look crazy anymore, right? I mean, it's actually pretty easy to picture how we could hit those targets super fast, like really fast, guys. But anyway, there's more happening here, so let's dive into the next piece because get this. Coinbase just dropped their XRP holdings down to 32 million, and now they're only running 2 cold wallets. Pretty interesting stuff happening in space right now. So here's what I'm wondering, guys. Are we going to see these get topped back up over time? Or is this turning into a legit problem we need to worry about? Because look, the clock is literally ticking on the Clarity Act, right? But at the same time, we're also running out of runway to nail down that banking charter and get that Federal Reserve master account locked in. The windows are closing fast on both fronts, and that's got me scratching my head about what happens next. Are we cutting it too close here? Or is there still time to make this all work out? And listen, if Ripple actually lands those 2 big wins, if they get approved for both of those things they're gunning for, we might be looking at a complete game changer here, folks. They could totally flip their whole strategy and be like, you know what? We're going all in on the institutional side now. The retail focus, yeah, we're dialing that back big time. That would be a massive pivot from what we've been seeing. But they might just fill all this stuff back up tomorrow and make this whole conversation pointless. Like, we could wake up and it's just, oh, never mind, false alarm, nothing to see here. That's what makes this space so wild, right? Everything can change in a heartbeat. They're literally just sticking to the same old playbook, right? So we've got to keep our eyes peeled for that one. But here's where it gets interesting. Thailand just dropped a bombshell and went to zero capital gains tax on crypto. Now here's the crazy part. We've actually been talking about this exact thing. What if the US decides to go zero capital gains on domestic assets to basically supercharge these new payment systems taking over the world? I'm telling you, that could be the move we've all been waiting for. And honestly, I think this whole thing could catapult us straight into fair use tax territory. And let me tell you, that would be a total game changer at my place. Okay. Buckle up because we're about to hear from SEC Chair Paul Atkins dropping some serious knowledge about asset digitization and the mind-blowing stuff happening behind the scenes at the Depository Trust Clearing Corporation. Oh yeah, the legendary DTCC. Take a listen to this.
About 24/7 potentially securities markets around the world. So anyway, so the SEC was there and worked with the industry, and that's how DTCC came about, where securities were then digitized, and so they were globalized, the globalized securities, and immobilized that way, and then traded digitally. So that was a huge innovation. And other things through the years, the automatic trading systems, ETFs, all of those things SEC enabled through a creative use of rulemaking, of course prompted by people approaching the SEC and saying, what if, can we do it? And I remember my old boss, Richard Breeden, in the early 90s, the staff had been trying to think about ETFs, and when he said, well, because he had dumped the whole big file on my desk, say, figure out why this has taken years to not even get out of the agency. And so the staff was saying, well, we're not sure if the market wants it. And so Richard had the best retort, well, how do you think you're going to find out? And that is like, let's try it and see what happens. So things like that is what we're doing now with Project Crypto, and working with our counterparts at other financial regulatory agencies through the President's Working Group. So we're still meeting every week. We came out with a report a few weeks ago, which I encourage you all to read. It's relatively thick, but anyway, but it's, I think there are a lot of great ideas, and we're setting out at the SEC to implement them as soon as we can.
Yeah, it is a new day, right? And you guys have already made so much progress, Commissioner Peirce with the task force. And, one thing I think people don't understand is how OG you are, and that, he really is. And so like in 2015, I started in this in 2015, and I think you were in even before me. So he is very OG in the crypto space. And the traditional finance space too, which is so important to have both the TradFi, expertise and knowing.
So meet your brand new SEC chair. This guy's all about, let's try it and see what happens. He's totally fearless when it comes to rolling out new stuff, just like how he fast-tracked that whole ETF process. Look, I've got to be real with you here. This is actually his second time running the show. My bad. But seriously, Commissioner Paul Atkins might just become one of the absolute best SEC chairmen we've ever seen in that seat. We'll find out. And here's something super interesting. Remember the DTCC? Well, Chair Atkins was just discussing their whole digitization and tokenization plans. Listen to this.
The CEO, Frank LaSalle, and the board had foresight that, hey, this is a disruptive technology that can fundamentally change the way we do business. We need to harness that technology. So they acquired Securrency not as the only technology, but as a foundation, especially a foundation for how you do regulated assets, on which we could blend together the other technologies, distributed ledgers, smart contract frameworks, tokenization frameworks, to create a coherent marketplace. So they were forward-leaning in that model. As I mentioned to you, the one right to win that DTCC has in this model is we are the record keeper for quadrillions of dollars of transactions, but for fundamentally assets under record, approximately $100 trillion worth of assets. So unilaterally, without the need to engage anyone else, we can actually make it possible to tokenize $100 trillion worth of value. No one else can do that efficiently. So we have both a right and a responsibility to do that effectively for the financial markets, because it unlocks so much among those things that it unlocks. So we're building out those rails to do that, to make it so that parties can, within seconds, convert any traditional holding into token form to conduct transactions.
And check this. They can literally tokenize everything in just a few moments. I mean, that's the kind of crazy power we're dealing with here, people. And check it out. We're watching some absolutely gorgeous progress unfold right before our eyes with this market infrastructure bill legislation, the Clarity Act. Just last week, boom, we dropped this massive framework on market structure legislation, totally showcasing our hunger to dive deep into this whole thing. We're talking about a massive $4 trillion global digital asset market here. And honestly, this needs Democrats and Republicans working together, plain and simple. We're really hoping our Republican friends will jump on board with a truly bipartisan approach to writing this legislation, because let's face it, that's just how we handle big stuff like this. Since we all want to move fast on this issue, we're crossing our fingers they'll say yes to some pretty reasonable requests that'll let us actually collaborate for real. But here's the deal. If we want this whole process to actually work, we've got to start by genuinely understanding each other. We're genuinely excited to work with our Republican colleagues this way. So here we have Senate Democrats saying they want to team up with their Republican friends to fast-track this bipartisan crypto market structure legislation. But here's the million-dollar question. Why are they so eager to move forward together in this bipartisan way? What's really driving this push for cooperation? Because there's definitely something behind this sudden urgency to get everyone on the same page. And honestly, it's pretty telling when both sides are suddenly singing the same tune about working together. Look, they finally woke up when they saw those seats disappearing in the presidential election. Before that, zero bipartisan cooperation whatsoever. The left and Biden's team were basically crushing this entire market and all the innovation that comes with it. That was the reality we were living in. Now suddenly they're like, oh wait, we better jump on this bandwagon and start celebrating progress, or we're toast in the midterms. I mean, come on folks, this isn't exactly brain surgery here. They're cooperating with us because they literally have no choice. Paul Barron dropped some intel from his DC insiders, and he says everything's accelerating in exactly the right direction, which makes total sense. Why? Because at the end of the day, this all circles back to keeping that US dollar on top, folks. And speaking of that, let's dive right into this next segment. Smokedog just dropped this bombshell. Everyone's eyes are locked on November 2025, the big global ISO 20022 switchover date. Here's the deal. After November 25th, SWIFT's massive network that links over 11,000 financial institutions around the globe, they're only accepting ISO 20022 compliant messages. That's it. Game over for the old system. Bottom line, ISO 20022 is literally setting us up for this massive industry transformation that's coming our way. Absolutely nailed it. Couldn't be more accurate. And this is all happening right when Ripple's securing that banking license and Federal Reserve Master account access. Don't want to believe it? Well, tough luck. It's happening anyway. Someone's got to be ready to manage all this massive transaction flow when these digital assets start running on the new payment infrastructure while the old legacy systems are still chugging along. This is our destination, people. Listen up, guys. Ripple's absolutely crushing it with that license and master account coming their way. Here's the crazy thing, though. The Federal Reserve literally can't create a central bank digital currency. So what does that make them? Basically just glorified babysitters for paper money, right? Sure, they'll keep printing for a hot minute, but honestly, we're not going to need that stuff much longer. Just imagine where this whole thing's heading. The Fed's getting completely left behind, and honestly, I'm here for it. I am so here for it. Oh, and there's this incredible account I've got to show you all. Hold up. Yoto. No clue who this person even is, but check out what they're claiming. They're saying it's Bank of Japan 2010 to present, central bank digital currency, cross-border payments, Anonymous for safety, fragmented truth. And here's my take. I'm just not buying that this connects directly to the Bank of Japan. Okay, I might be completely off here, but these comments are absolutely insane. Like, this person's dropping bombs left and right, saying they got the inside scoop on Swift, maybe announcing some huge pilot thing with Ripple. But they're claiming that big shots at the Bank of Japan and themselves are like, hold up, Ripple needs to do its own thing. So we've got some random account basically saying, yeah, I've got the tea on Bank of Japan's secret meetings. I've got some absolutely fascinating posts I'm dying to share with you guys. Now, before we dive in, let me break this down for you. Look, we're definitely in speculation territory with what we're seeing and hearing right now, but here's what we're not speculating about: the incredibly deep, established relationship between Ripple, XRP, and SBI, plus Japan's biggest financial powerhouses. And that's exactly why this has me so excited, you know? Plus, we already know Ripple's got these major collaborations cooking with Citibank and Swift too. So yeah, there's definitely that piece of the puzzle as well. All right, guys, check out this next comment. This one's from just 2 days ago. So the internal research team at the Bank of Japan is actually predicting that by 2030, we're talking at least 35% of all international yen-based settlements happening on blockchain. We're looking at the next 5 years, 4.5 to be exact. Japan's planning to fully integrate tokenized deposits across yen, US dollars, and euros. But here's where it gets really spicy. They're saying the real secret sauce is XRP. Every single path eventually circles back to that one token. And honestly, that's exactly how I see it playing out too from my perspective. Guys, you're not going to believe what I just discovered. The Bank of Japan is quietly adding XRP to their shopping cart. But wait, plot twist incoming, they're not doing this out in the open like you'd expect. Instead, they're going full stealth mode using some mysterious third party. Why all the secrecy? Because they know the moment this news hits the streets, XRP's price will rocket to the moon faster than you can say cryptocurrency. This is exactly what that guy was telling Paul Barron in that interview. Remember when he dropped that bombshell about how these institutions have all these shadow companies? Yeah, companies that aren't even linked to their main brand. They've been playing this game for years, flying completely under the radar, while the rest of us have no clue they're already knee-deep in the action. It's genius when you think about it, because the second the market catches wind of their involvement, boom, prices skyrocket and they've already missed their chance to get in cheap. Okay guys, here's where things get really spicy. Whether this source is rock solid legit or just connecting dots they think are forming, I'm sharing this because it triggered a major light bulb moment for me about that November ISO 20022 deadline. That's not some random date, people. Swift actually put that out there officially. And man, it instantly brought me back to that explosive Watcher Guru article from March. Remember that one? It literally said Swift was basically shaking hands with Ripple to use XRP for moving money across borders. We're talking billions of XRP sitting there, ready to roll as backup liquidity. Then, poof, article vanished into thin air. Literally moments later, they're like, oh hey, our account got hacked, but we just recovered it. All of this happened in under 2 minutes, guys. Now listen, I've dealt with hacked accounts before, and let me tell you something, nobody, and I mean nobody, gets their account back in 2 minutes flat. I've been through this nightmare enough times to know better. Something just didn't add up here, you know? And here's the thing, I wasn't the only one getting those weird vibes about the whole situation. That whole thing reeked of, oops, someone hit publish on the wrong day. You know what I'm talking about? They scrambled faster than eggs at a diner, yanking that content back and spinning this wild tale about hackers who apparently have nothing better to do than drop promotional material on random accounts. I mean, seriously? We're sitting pretty on September 20th, and November 2025 is sprinting toward us like it's late for dinner. But hey, good things come to those who wait, right? I'm in no rush, and neither are you. And what sets us apart as the XRP family, we've mastered the art of patience while everyone else in this crypto space is losing their minds. It's like our superpower or something. So yeah, we're going to need to tap into that legendary patience just a little bit longer to see what this whole situation actually means when the dust settles. Now listen up. This isn't financial advice for me or anybody else, all right? Let's dive into this one more time before we wrap things up. We're here in September 2025, folks, and guess what? All those dominoes are perfectly lined up and ready to fall. Time is seriously running out here. And look, if all the stars align like we're hoping, XRP could actually rocket to $25 by December 2025. And you know what? Pompeius, whoever you are out there, I've literally never wanted a complete stranger to be this right about anything in my entire life. I'm being totally honest with you guys. And I just know that most of you watching this right now are feeling exactly the same way I am. Or what do you think about Crypto Boy's predictions? He drops this bomb and goes, yo, I'm thinking XRP is literally in the final boss level of that epic 2017 pattern. And this baby could absolutely explode to $37 come October. So you're seeing all these chart wizards basically going nuts over something brewing between right now and boom, year's end. And me? I'm totally drinking that Kool-Aid too, but only if we get those juicy fundamentals we've been thirsting for. Come on, universe, just throw us those ETF approvals already. Slide us that sweet banking license. And dear crypto gods above, please bless us with that legendary Federal Reserve master account we've been manifesting forever. So we need the Clarity Act, like yesterday. And look, I want to paint you a picture of what this market's going to transform into, because trust me, it's going to be absolutely incredible compared to the chaos we're stuck with today. Just remember though, this isn't financial advice coming from me or anybody else, okay? All right, my friends, until next time, peace out.